Hello everyone, this is Aparna Bhatt and welcome to my YouTube channel Abhijna Legal Maps. Abhijna Legal Maps is a YouTube channel dedicated to judiciary aspirants all over Karnataka and especially for the South Indian students because we find less number of judiciary related channels with respect to South Indian judiciary examinations. So, we have started and launched a new YouTube channel where judiciary examination related matters, videos, lectures, updates and question paper solving and everything will be conducted in English, exclusively in English in this YouTube channel. Okay. Yes. So, today we are going to discuss regarding section 13 and section 14 of the Transfer of Property Act. So, why the section 13 and 14? Because I was conducting a 48-day challenge in a WhatsApp group which is known as Target Judiciary 2024 WhatsApp group, especially that was conducted by Abhijna Law Series which is mainly a Kannada YouTube channel for Karnataka Judiciary students. So, according to that 48 days challenge, every day we would be giving a new challenge to everyone regarding reading new provisions, new important provisions for judiciary examinations. So far we have completed over 25 challenges. So, as a part of that, so in relation to that, daily I am solving day 1 lecture, day 1 section, day 3 lecture like that. So, today it is the day 5th lecture. Okay. So, yesterday, day before yesterday and all I had solved section 154 of CRPC, the other day section 16 of Specific Relief Act, the other day section 60 of CPC. So, if you haven't watched that YouTube channel yet, do watch it. Please watch that YouTube channel. Please watch those videos also. Okay. So, today let us begin with our class today. See, section 13 and section 14 of Transfer of Property Act deals with transfers to unborn persons. Who is an unborn person? Unborn person is a person who is not in existence, who is not yet born. So, when does this situation occur? Suppose if I want to transfer the property to my third generation or my second generation or my son's children or my daughter's grandchildren. So, if this is a case, because usually people want to continue the property in their progeny, in their generation, right. So, can this be done? First of all, Transfer of Property Act applies to the transfers between the living persons. Transfer of property operates inter vivos, it operates between two living persons. But what about, so in this case, because the person, the unborn person is not yet born. This is symbolically I have given a picture of a child, but actually he is not even born. Okay. So, let us, for an imagination I have given this just for the purpose, but this person is not yet in existence, he is an unborn person. So, when that is the case, Transfer of Property Act says there cannot be a direct transfer to unborn person. So, as per section 13, it says you cannot transfer directly to an unborn person, because what happens if I transfer the property? So, I say I will transfer, Mr. A transfers the property to his son's children. Son is just 20 years old, he is about to get married and he has to begot the children. So, there is a time. So, what is the guarantee that A remains till their birth, A may die, and what about the property? Because son may not be the owner, the property is directly transferred to the son's children. In that case, the property remains in abeyance. What do we call? So, no property can remain in abeyance, means there should be an owner at one or the other point of a time for a property. So, if there is no owner for the property, then we say the property remains in abeyance. So, that thing cannot happen. But if this is allowed, if a direct transfer has been allowed to unborn person, if this person dies and this person has not yet come into existence, there is no owner to the child, there is no owner to the property at all. That is why they say there cannot be a direct transfer to the unborn person. Okay. So, this is one case, this is one situation. Then what has to be done? Is there, whether there is a complete prohibition on transfer to unborn persons? No. Section 13 has remedies as well. So, it says you can create a prior interest, you can transfer the property to someone else and he holds the property for the benefit of unborn person till he comes into existence, till unborn person comes into existence, let there be another person. We call it as prior life interest. But this person cannot be given absolute rights, because what if he transfers to some other person by getting the absolute right over the property? Or what if his legal heirs transfer it to someone else? Or what if his legal heirs claim over the property? So that cannot be done. That is why only prior life interest is created, or prior limited interest is created, or prior restricted interest is created, nothing more than that. Okay. So that is a very important thing which we have to note. And he holds the property for the as a trust, as a machinery of trust. So through the machinery of trust, or as a trustee, he holds the property for the beneficiary of the unborn child or unborn person. And the third rule is, unborn person, whatever the property is getting, he should get the property absolutely. There cannot be restriction on the rights of the unborn person. So the last transfer has to be to the unborn person, and such a transfer has to be made absolutely. An absolute interest has to be created in favor of the unborn person. Okay. So these are the three rules relating to section 13, where it says you can make a transfer to the unborn person, but there should not be a direct transfer. You have to create a prior life interest or prior limited interest in favor of the unborn person, who holds the property. That prior life interest holds the property as a trustee for the benefit of unborn person. And the last one is, the unborn person should be given the absolute interest. So whenever he gets the right over the property, when he comes into existence, he can dispose it to whomever he wants. Okay. So this is the case under section 13. So what if this person is given life interest? What happens? Then again there will be conflicts. There is a property is not vested in this person also, it continues to the next person, again it continues to next person. So this results in perpetuity. So why absolute interest has to be given? Otherwise it amounts to perpetuity. It means you can see under section 14 that there is a rule against perpetuity. Section 14 imbibes the principle of rule against perpetuity. What is the meaning of that? Suppose if life interest created, nowhere the unborn person is given absolute interest at all. So the property transfers forever, it never vests in anyone. So perpetually you are transferring the property. So even after my death, if I transfer the property, even after my death, I can control through these covenants, through these rules, I can control to whom the property has to transfer, and nowhere the property is rested, nowhere the property is vested in anyone. So that thing is not permissible, except in certain cases like trusts or in the advancement of the public religion and everything. Only in limited cases perpetuity can be continued, but not in general cases, in general circulation of the property or general rules relating to the transfer of property. Okay. So then what has to be done? That is why they say there should be absolute interest given to this person. But one thing is sure, whatever immediately on birth he may not get, that can be postponed to a certain extent. To what extent? That we can find in section 14. So section 14 provides the time period, okay, maximum time permissible for the remoteness of vesting. So this is a case where section 14, it prohibits certain condition where a person, he wants to continue the property, he wants the property to remain in his progeny. So he transfers the property to 9th generation, 10th generation. So what is happening there? The property is not vesting in anyone. Till the 10th generation also it is not vesting. So that is known as remoteness of vesting. So it may continue up to like 100 years, 150 years and more. So that is not permissible. There is a limited interest. There is a limited time which has been fixed where you can postpone the vesting. The property has to vest in the unborn person, but one thing, you can postpone the vesting of interest to a certain extent, but not more than that. You can postpone the vesting of interest till his minority ends, till he becomes major, not more than that. So that is why we can see the transferor, when he transfers the property, till how much time he can stop the property investing in someone, he can up to we can say that life of the preceding interests. So, all these persons, not only this person, he can transfer it to some more persons also, but all persons should be living at the time of his transfer. So, whenever he is transferring, these persons must be living, and when they are living, their lifetime is calculated and plus the majority age, the age of majority up to the age of majority, or the complete where he becomes minor, complete the minority time up to 18 years. Till that time you can postpone the vesting of the property, not more than that. And even one more situation, even the period of gestation of ultimate beneficiary, even that can be calculated. So, what do you mean by that? Gestation means a child which is in womb, you can call it as n ventra sa mare, n ventra sa mare, which means child in the womb, child in the womb. Okay. So, even the child in the womb can be said to be child in existence. We can say that this is a child, even if it is in the womb, the gestation period of 9 months, that can be calculated as the person who has come into existence. Even that can be calculated for the vesting of the interest. Okay. So, this is all about rule against perpetuity. This is also known as rule against remoteness of vesting. So, one more time I say, so it ultimately means the overall summary of this section 14, we can say that a person cannot transfer the property like beyond maybe one generation, okay, because more than one generation or two generation, third generation and all, it simply amounts to the rule of perpetuity, which is not permissible under section 14. That perpetuity cannot be there should be free circulation of the property, the economy deserves it so. Okay. For the economy to grow, there should be proper circulation of the property, one has to transfer it to A has to transfer it to B has to transfer it to C. So, this has to be there, but what happens in this case, if the property remains in the same generation, there would be no transfer at all, there would not be any economy flourishing. That is why they have said that this is not possible. You can postpone the vesting of the property to a certain limited amount of time, which can be calculated by this. So, what is the formula for that? All prior life interest, whoever is there, their life is calculated, along with if any child is in gestation, even that time is calculated, plus its minority. Till the age it becomes major, up to that time you can postpone the vesting of the property. But after that, the property has to vest in that person who was said to be unborn now, but he is born now. So, property will vest in that unborn person, or we can call it as ultimate beneficiary. It has to vest in that ultimate beneficiary, so that he can transfer it to whomever he wants. There is no rule for him that it should continue in his generation. He can sell it, he can mortgage it. So, he gets the absolute interest. Okay. So, this is all about section 13 and section 14. Yeah. So, I have completed section 13 and 14 in a very brief manner. So, do read that, because it is very important for the multiple choice questions, or maybe for short notes in mains examinations also. So, whatever you have to read, you have to understand them in these rules. These are the 3 conditions necessary for section 13, and this is the a formula which is necessary for section 14 of the Transfer of Property Act. Okay. Yes. So, if you have if you like this video, do like this video, and if you haven't subscribed this yet, do subscribe and also share it among your other friends. So, this is beneficial for Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and also Karnataka judiciary examination students, and also other rest of India students who are aspiring for judiciary examinations and who are preparing seriously. For them this would be helpful. Okay. So, And also do not forget to download Abhijna Law Series app, where you can find different types of courses, and study material is also available. You can have a look over it, and you can purchase them through different platforms also, and you can also check www.abhijnalegal.in, and if you have any doubts you can contact me through the number that is 9036201870. If you have any queries, please feel free to contact. So see you in my next video, and also do not forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Keep watching. Namaste.